Not live at the tap.
Say it again now.
I'm gonna say it again.
There we go.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Thursday Love. I'm about to say live at the tap now. So look, check this out, y'all. Tonight we've been having internet issues, so if the internet go out, we look like don't log off, y'all. So hopefully it'll come back on. All right. So we have been having a great time. We have been having a great time. Last month we talked about the singles, or we had the singles.
Yeah, last month. Yeah. Hey, Mary.
I got it right.
You got it right. You got it right.
So this month is March Madness, and we are featuring some dynamic, awesome married. Last week we had the Tom. Here we go. We're back on. Excuse me. Back on. Y'all might see the black screen. Pay it no mind. We're gonna keep going. This week we got a special treat for y'all. We got some folks that we ain't seen in about 50 years. They got gray hair, no hair, all the above. But we're gonna have a great time tonight. We're gonna have a great time. They're awesome people, awesome people. We know the beginning and all that good old stuff. But I ain't gonna tell all of that. I'm gonna let them tell all that. We're gonna have a great time. We thank everybody for joining us. And I'm gonna stop talking and let Sherry talk now.
Hey everybody, welcome to Thursday Love again tonight with TJ and Sherry. As TJ already stated, we're excited about.
I said, what?
No,
if I got a feeling about it, I got a view.
No. As TJ already said, this is March Madness, and we are doing a segment of marriage and ministry. And so we're on our second weekend. We have another awesome couple to join us this weekend. So we're truly excited. But before we get started, for those that are up here, how y'all doing? How y'all feeling? Did y'all have a great week? Did y'all have a great day? While y'all doing all that, let me know how you feel. Hit your thumbs up, hit your hearts. And if not, share it with someone. Tag your friends, tag your family. Let them know. Come on, join us in Thursday Love. Y'all know how we do. We interact every Thursday. Come with your questions, come with your comments. We love to talk and we love to discuss, because being married and being in ministry is real. Even though we know that marriage is our first ministry, well, God is our first ministry. Nothing comes before God.
There we go.
But once you decide to get married, we're talking about like the church ministry.
Good luck.
Yes. You have to have a balance. You have to have a balance. You know, you can't put one before the other. I know if I put ministry before my marriage, I'm not gonna have a marriage. So
the Holy Ghost did not reveal that to you.
It did not?
It didn't.
Who did?
That was just common sense.
Whatever. Hey Trivia, hey George, hey Mary, hey Vet. How is everybody feeling?
Mary, congratulations. I saw what you posted on Facebook about paying tithes and about those contracts y'all got. That's awesome.
Amen. Praise report. George said he had a great day, just getting my heart and mind right for school on Monday. Jesus take the wheel and drive fast. Oh yeah, my heart. Yeah, our prayers go out to all the teachers that start Monday.
George, you about to make Thursday Love not be a good.
We gonna stay positive.
Yeah.
Positive.
Yeah.
Positive.
Yeah.
Positive.
You talking about that? Oh Lord. boy. I know they want to call their name out. I ain't even gonna say it.
Hey, Rick.
I ain't even gonna say it out loud.
So we're not gonna delay the time. We're gonna go ahead and bring in our couple for the week. We have none other than Pastor James Sapp and his beautiful wife, Prophet Sarah Sapp. So we're gonna bring them in now. Yay!
They're sticky.
Hello.
Yay!
God bless you guys.
They're real sticky.
Anyway, welcome to Thursday Love. We're so excited to have you guys.
Yeah, man.
Thank you. We're excited to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
And thank you for accepting.
Speaking of invitations, Sam, I want to see what you got to do for Good Friday, but we'll talk about that. I got you. We'll talk about that.
All right.
You see, right.
Matter of fact, after this, we'll talk about it.
Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. So we have known the Sapps almost 20 years.
Yeah.
It's been almost 20 years. It's been almost 20 years.
That means you're 20 years older.
Well, Sapp said he got a birthday coming up. How old you gonna be, Sapp?
40. My goodness.
Look, Sam, I've been wanting to tell you this, man, for over 20-something years. Dude, you got the whitest teeth I ever seen on a man. I'm sorry. I just want to tell you that. And all I see is stars, dude. I'm sorry. I know it's out of left field, but I'm sorry.
They're real. So out of left field.
TJ, they're real.
Right. So instead of us introducing you all, how about y'all introduce yourselves to us?
Okay.
Let's go.
Well, man, Pastor James. Man, I met this woman.
They said introduce.
We are introduced.
We got you, man. We got you. That's the. Man, forget all that. Look, I met this woman. Go ahead, man.
Listen, I met this woman when I was coming back to church. I was coming back. I am now. The journey has taken me all the way up until this point. I'm an assistant pastor at Ministry of Reconciliation and New Dimension in Oswego, Illinois. Apostle Dave Gaines and Pastor Felicia Gaines, a mighty man and woman of God. I'm doing a great work. I assist them at here locally in Illinois, as they have branches in Malawi, Africa, and two in Missouri that they oversee. And so my wife right here is assisting me in every way possible. We're just doing a lot of things, enjoying the journey. I'm just enjoying this journey. You know what? Honestly, I've never thought I would be in this place right here, right now, spiritually, physically. Like, I would not believe. So God has just been great. And you know, the word says, you find a wife, you obtain favor. I found a good thing, and favor is following me. It followed me all the way here to Illinois. Yes, indeed.
And I'm Sarah Sapp. I'm his wife. Yeah, I mean, we've known each other. I met James when I was 19. And so that just lets you know how long we've been together. And I did not think that ministry was our future. I had my own plans and my own ideas, but God said otherwise. So, and here we are today.
Right. Actually, we weren't even going to be here. We were going to be, after Sarah graduated, we're going to go to stay in the Raleigh-Durham area for a couple of years and move to Marietta, Georgia, to do real estate and, you know, just do that type of thing. And the Lord says, no, I got plans for you. It's funny because Sarah says that she would never come back to Illinois. Yeah. So it was like, it didn't matter.
I love that word, never. He loves that. He laughs at that word, never. Yeah, he laughs at that word, never. Yeah. I'm gonna leave it for that. And God revealed it and in prayer. And this is like, hey, I know you say you don't want to go, but this is what God is saying. And God has just been with us every step of the way. Highs, lows. He has been our rock, our source, total supply, every step of the way. Yeah. Even in marriage, even in ministry, it's every step of the way. Yes, indeed.
Okay, so let's start from the beginning. So
what's going to 7 years ago?
So we met you guys. Well, we met Sarah when she was at Central because she's an Eagle. She went to Central. All right, Sapp, you came. I don't know where you came from. It's like you just appeared.
He was coming back.
He said he was coming back to church. So take us before church. So Sarah, you come out of Illinois. Sapp, you came out of what? Jersey, right?
Yes.
All right. So did y'all both grow up in church?
Yes, I grew up in church. Man, my father casting out devils and all types of stuff. And my mother, same way. They were leaders in the church, youth pastors, youth leaders and stuff like that. So I definitely grew up in the church, living in rebellion, wanting to, do my thing, and so bouncing, ended up bouncing in the clubs and all types of stuff. And but yeah, I definitely grew up in the church. Don't know nothing else. Actually, matter of fact, my father didn't want nobody to get no credit. Not Santa Claus, not Easter Bunny, nobody get no credit. The kids were the teachers was not pleased with the saps because we were like, ain't no Santa Claus, ain't no, this and that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh wow. And so Sarah, you grew up in church too, right?
I did. I grew up in church. I was born into the church. And so that's all I knew. I went to the same church pretty much my whole life until I went to North Carolina. And so what brought me to North Carolina is actually my mom was from North Carolina. She passed away when I was 16 years old. And it was crazy how I ended up there. But to make a long story short, I ended up having family in North Carolina and I found the school and that's how I left. So when he talks about me never going back, I was leaving a place of hurt and a place of brokenness. Nobody knew I was saved. Nobody knew like anything about me or anything like that because it was almost like I had a chance to just completely start all over. And what I wanted people to know about me, I had the control, what I thought, to allow people to know what I wanted them to know. And nobody knew my background or my history. But yeah, my mom was such a prayer warrior. She was the type to say, go in there and you don't come out until you hear from the Lord. And when he tell you something, then you come talk to me. Like that's the kind of mom I had, who was just very much about the word. I mean, the only thing that played at the time was 700 Club and and that's all that played in the house. Saturday mornings was cleaning day. You had the gospel music going. I mean, that's just how it was in our home. So yeah, that was my background. So when I went to North Carolina, it was my chance to pretty much start over. So.
Well, my mama was the type of one to lock you in the bathroom and beat you with a leather strap. So. She did. She had that brown leather. I don't forget that thing. I was used plenty of times. Every time she said a word, it was the longest. I'm sorry, y'all. The longest terrible bill in my life.
Okay, so y'all in North Carolina. How did you meet and how was dating? Because to me, it seemed like once y'all got together, it was Sarah and Sap, and it just
y'all know
it's like y'all were together forever. You know what I'm saying? So tell us the story. How did it go?
Okay, so how I got to the church is my sister Christina. She came and heard Apostle Spence. And so when she was like, you got to come here. You got to come hear this guy. So I'm like, okay. So I come and, just enjoying the worship. I mean, I knew I needed to be back in church. I've been just doing bouncing and doing all of this. And I knew I was like, listen, I need to get back to the foundation. So I come into the building in worship, my mind on Jesus, understand. And I open up my eyes doing worship and stuff, and I'm seeing this individual, and she is in front of me, and I'm like, who is
I told you. You saw from behind. I told you. It is so. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Tell your story. Tell your story and explain why. Tell your story and explain why. Go ahead. Tell your story and explain why. Go ahead.
Who in the world is this?
I told you.
And so I'm like,
Right.
Listen, I put some oil on the backside. So I'm trying to get my life together. You understand? And I'm like, wow, like who is this? So the first Sunday, like I joined and I was able to see the front. It was even more appealing than the back. And it was like, whoa, you know what I mean? Like, yo, like, but I'll tell you this part because Sarah's not gonna tell you this part. She tried to play me.
I didn't.
She didn't like. Well, first I didn't even coach her.
Sarah.
I didn't.
Every time I tried to spark up a conversation, she had this facial expression that it's like, "Why are you talking to me?"
Okay, well, let me explain. So the crazy thing is, so he joined the church. I remember when he joined the church. The thing that was so crazy though is that night when I got home, I had a dream that I married him. And I didn't even know his name. I didn't know who he was or anything like that. But the dream was so real that it scared me. And so I just tried to keep my distance. And this was before I realized what prophecy or being prophetic or prophetic dreams meant. So I began to have these dreams about him, and I didn't even know who he was. I had a dream about our daughter. I mean, it was just crazy. And all of this happened before we actually had a conversation. So every time I saw him coming, I would go the other way because I was like, it just scared me because I was like, obviously I thought he was, very attractive. And obviously, I was, very drawn to him, but it scared me. And I was like, I'm not here for that, And so that's what he was feeling. It wasn't me purposely trying to.
She was attracted to your teeth, Steph.
It was glistening.
So y'all we in church and dating is so what was the first move and how was the dating and in ministry? I mean in church. How's dating in church? Let me say that. So how was the first actual getting together and then the dating?
Virtual?
Yeah, I know. I was about to say virtual. God knows what it was.
Well, I think the first. She gave me her number, and
you asked.
I did ask.
Okay.
I asked for her number.
Wow!
Let's be clear.
But I didn't call her. I didn't call her for
a
weeks.
Long time.
And so, I mean, obviously we saw each other every Sunday, but I didn't call her at all. But as far as the dating aspect, I think we were on the same page of how we wanted to live our lives. Like
right.
I was a virgin. She was a virgin. As a matter of fact, to be honest with you, if she wasn't, it was a done deal. Like if she was not a virgin, it was a done deal.
And I think what he means by that is like we both were praying for the same thing.
Right.
That was a desire that both of us had, and obviously during that time, a lot of people weren't living that lifestyle. So it was very rare to find someone that had those same beliefs. And so I think we both had the mindset of saying, Lord, whoever you bring to us, let this be the quality that we see to kind of confirm what God is doing. You know what I mean? And that was one of the things that I had listed out, before in prayer, because truth be told, like I didn't date. I didn't know how to date. I didn't know what it looked like. I just didn't. So I always tell him he was my boyfriend, like my first real boyfriend. And it was one of those things. Like I remember our first conversation when we finally did talk. We talked for over 3 hours. And the conversation was just so like, it was no games. It was just, this is what I'm about. This is what I believe in. This is what I'm looking for. And everything was lining up so quickly, with just our beliefs and what we were doing and what we wanted to do and just our values. And it was very clear early on that, we were a team and like we were together. And so I think like once we got past the nerves of just, talking, and because we were nervous, because honestly in church, sometimes in church, there's never really guidelines on dating or courting. You know, there's always just talking about stay holy, don't do this, don't do that. And there's never always a time where we actually guide couples through what's right and what's wrong. You know what I mean?
Right.
So there's things that we had to just learn together because it was foreign to both of us, I think. You know, and then, you know, obviously we wanted to respect each other. We wanted to respect the leadership of the house. We wanted to just respect, you know, the house of God. So we were very intentional about making sure that we did things the right way.
Yeah, it was hard.
Yeah.
It was hard. It was hard. Actually, to be honest with you, throughout my entire dating career, it's the hardest. Because, all right, number one, I don't like to be touched like that too much, right? So
you're not affectionate.
Right. So, like, I mean, I was affectionate, but it was more like my siblings did this to me. So they would, you know, antagonize me in such a way and torture me and like just to get under my skin. So it was just like, so if touching was involved, I would initiate it. And so when my wife, when she was my girlfriend, it was just like, I didn't have a problem with it. It was just like my mom, even though she was like, you must be something special because he don't like to be touched.
Yeah.
You know, and it was so hard, especially somebody obviously you're attracted to. You have a deeper connection than just a, you know, a physical appearance. And it was just like, yo, like either like you got to go home or go to your dorm room, like because it was rough.
Yeah,
a rough deal. Like,
because when you find the person that God has really called you to be with, you just want to be with them. You don't want to have to separate. You don't want to have to go your separate ways. You just want to spend time with them. You know, and so that's what we did. So we had to even learn that there was times where we have to have other people with us, you know, or let's do some activities that revolve going out, you know, or in company. And so we were very intentional about that. We had accountability partners that, you know, were with us and things like that, you know. And so I felt like culture was with us wherever we went.
Yes. Yeah.
And it was just something that, you know, we just made sure that we did, you know, to just have that accountability. So, we knew early on that, you know, that we were going to be together and that it was real. And that was in spite of the naysayers and in spite of, you know, what everybody may have thought at the time. So,
because I honestly believe my growth in God or my success in God and how he was going to orchestrate my life, I didn't know it was going to be in ministry or anything like that. Just whatever God wanted to do was wrapped up in me keeping my virginity and staying pure before him. Now, granted, I was selling Smirnoffs in the back of my trunk when I was bouncing in the club and everything like that. But it was like, I felt that my virginity was the one thing. If I lost that, then I lost all hope. You know what I mean? Like, that was like engraved in me.
Yeah.
And so, it was that kept me sometimes. You know, honestly, it was like either I was stronger or she was stronger, and that was like thank the Lord, you know, for that, because a lot, you know, I wanted to yield to the flesh and to the works of the flesh, and then either I was strong, like, you know what, nope, we gotta, all right, see ya. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's how it was.
That's just how it was, and I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that she was strong enough, and the strength that I had, I'm grateful for. You know what I'm saying? Because during this time and the whole dating aspect, like Sarah said, like it wasn't the norm. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, people were experimenting.
Yeah, the norm now.
I don't think it's ever been a norm.
It ain't even normal.
Right.
Yeah, like people are always shocked when they hear that side of our story. Like they're really shocked when we let them know that we really did wait.
Yeah.
So. My hat's off to y'all without taking my hat off. I'm telling you that, like, honestly, because like you really don't that what y'all talking about now, it's like taboo now. Like you're not doing anything? What? I mean, because for me, I mean, I don't know if Sherry, I don't know if I ever tell you this, but I didn't want to because of course, I've been in church all my life, but I ain't been in church mentally all my life. So, I was a little different. I was a different version, as you said. I didn't say version, but I'm gonna call you out. Anyway, I'm a different version than that. But so I didn't want to. Like for me, I said I didn't want to marry a virgin because I knew that I didn't keep myself, and I didn't want to take that from somebody else who had, saved themselves, and like you said, had the control to save themselves. So I was like, it wasn't fair for me to even do that to somebody. But to hear y'all, to hear that, man, that y'all not just stayed virgins until marriage, but you guys held each other accountable for it. Like that is enormous strength. That is enormous control. Discipline. That is enormous discipline. That is honestly, that is the essence of submission to God when he says, I'm a jealous God and thou shalt have no other God before me. You guys were disciplined enough to say, hey, I love you enough I love you enough to stay pure. You know what I'm saying? That is amazing. Like the story that you guys are saying is, I really believe is what he really intended for marriage to be like. You know what I'm saying? He didn't intend for us, and a lot of us are guilty, but he didn't intend for us to lose that part of us before we say I do. But you guys, honestly, from what I'm hearing, you guys did it the right way. Like literally, you did it the biblical way, which is to save yourself for that man or that woman that he has for you. And hey, I mean, my hand, I'm clapping. Sure enough, it's a real clap, and it's with my left hand. So hats off.
Yeah, I didn't.
You're right, Vet. That's extremely rare.
It's extremely rare. My girl Vet says it's extremely rare. It really is. I don't think in our lifetime I've ever heard anybody say that they were virgins up until they were married. And I didn't grow up in church.
Not that we know.
I didn't grow up in church, so it was all new to me. So when y'all was coming, it was like my first time. So being there, and so and the way I grew up, those conversations weren't had. So
well, I knew someone was upset by the way you tied your shoestrings. I knew something was up. I knew it.
But
I'm tied too tight. I knew them be good breed.
So
I'm joking, man.
I had a question earlier. Baby, forget the question. So how long did you date? Okay, no, I got my question. So in the dating, when did you know he was your husband and she was your wife? Did God say this to you, or you just automatically knew?
So this is she dream.
Yeah, well, Sarah, you got confirmed in your dream. But I mean, like,
spiritual.
Yeah. So Sat, when did you know that she was your wife?
You know what? It was I had my own apartment. My lights got cut off.
Wow.
And I knew that she was special. There was no doubt about that. I knew she's one of a kind, knew she was special. My lights got cut off. I was the individual, was like, you know what? I got it. My nickname growing up was King James. If any problems, go to King James. He got it covered. And so it's like when my lights got cut off, it was like, for me, obviously embarrassing. So she would want to come over. I was like, nah, I don't, you got to work. I got to work, or you got class or whatever. So she thought I was cheating. Thought I had like a girl coming over or whatever. So long story short, she ended up popping up at the house, but I had no light. I didn't want her to see that. I didn't want her to see that aspect. So I met her outside. I'm like, yo, what's happening? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you doing here? Oh, I wanted to see you and this and that. And I'm like, oh man. So I was like, all right, listen, this is what's going on. My lights is out. That's the whole thing. So she goes, oh, okay. She got in her car and left. I said, that's the end of that. You know, brother can't keep his lights on. Ain't no need to, you know. And so I was like, she came back about 30 minutes, 35 minutes later with some Chinese food and some candles.
Wow.
And I was just like, what? Like, she was just like, oh, we in this or whatever. And I'm sitting here like, we ain't got no ties whatsoever. Like, you can just move on with your life, basically. And then, so I was like, man, like, that's wifey material. Like, she, through the whole process, she held me down. When I mean, literally struggling, like, had a cooler with ice and what do you call it, bologna sandwiches and all of this and that. She would bring her dinners from school and split it with me at my apartment. And I'm sitting here like, I'll be like, I would be a fool if I let that walk away. Like, she ain't got no ties to me. If we were married and struggling, I know she will hold me down. I know that she would, you know, be there, mentally supportive, financially supportive, emotionally supportive. And I knew, like, there's no way. That's my wife. That's wifey right there. And everything within me was like, I cannot mess this up. I cannot. That is the one.
So, Sarah, you mean to tell me that you brought Sap some chicken from Central on that Wednesday? You know how you better have married that girl. That was rare to get some chicken. You better have her with everything you had.
Yes, yeah, I sure did. And the interesting thing about that, I was in such a place of prayer that, and this is the thing that we have to realize, you know, just to even go back, because there's this idea that, oh, you got to test the waters and, oh, you got to figure out if you guys are compatible, you know, physically and all these other things. But when God is truly in something, he's going to confirm everything. And so even when he was in that low place, there was something that I saw in him that was rare, that I saw for a man. You know what I mean? So there was qualities that I saw about him that weren't things that I saw on a normal basis. So I say all that to say that when God shows you who you're supposed to be with, you have to look past those small things that may be the thing that wants to turn you away, say, oh, I can't handle this. Because whenever God is showing you, you know, something, especially in a relationship, you know, I believe that he'll show the other person who they are, even in the future. You know what I mean? So that situation was temporary. It was out of his control. You know, I knew that he was a hard worker. You know what I mean? And there was other qualities that I saw about him. So I had to look past all of that. But it was very important for me to make sure that even through that, it wasn't something I was bringing up to remind him about. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that we've committed to do in our relationship. So when we have faults, we make it our business not to remind each other of our shortcomings or our faults. We make it our business to speak life to one another. Have we always done that? No. Has it been challenging? Absolutely. But we've had to learn how to affirm one another. You know what I mean? Right. And see those things that God sees in us. And so I knew right away that I was supposed to be with him, you know, and it was confirmed other ways as well. You know, but it was my job to make sure that it wasn't something that I broadcasted or made him feel bad about or anything like that. And I mean, we've been on a journey. I mean, we have really been on a journey, and that small act is probably like a drop in the bucket compared to some of the things that we've faced. So, and I mean, and each time God has brought us out.
Absolutely.
I love the fact of what you said about how pretty much you guys don't continue to throw mistakes in each other's faces, because honestly, in a lot of marriages, I think that's probably one of the downfalls in marriages, that especially when you get angry, you know, that's the time that just people want to throw low blows and stuff like that. And it is so important. It's like you said, it is so important not to do that, because words, people always say this mess of words don't hurt. And that is like the biggest cry I've ever heard in my life, because words do hurt. They do. And you don't,
especially coming from someone you care about.
Especially coming from someone you care about. And the thing is, we ain't Jesus. You know, he takes what we do and he throws into the sea of forgiveness. Where in our minds, it doesn't work that way. You know what I'm saying? We remember stuff, or we'll see certain things, and that thought will come by. Wow, my wife said this to me. Well, dang, is this, you know? So yeah, it is so important for everybody who's watching. It is so important. Do not throw the inadequacies of your spouse. Don't throw them back in their face. You know what I'm saying? Because it is damaging. And it tears them down instead of building them up. And you're right, Sarah. Our job is to affirm one another. It's to build each other up, because the stronger I build you up, the better you are for you, but the better you are for me and everything else that we're trying to do, vice versa. Right. That was those were awesome points. Awesome points.
Yeah. I think the thing is, you did say it was hard. Now, it's hard. I'm telling on myself. It's very hard for me. Because I had a memory like an elephant, and I remember just about everything, especially conversations verbatim.
Unless you got a memory of a bear.
And really, and so and it's hard to don't make me mad, because I live for an argument. The type of family I come from, you live for an argument. And so when we would have one, I would bring up everything I could literally, because I'm gonna cut throat, and I had to learn the hard way. You just don't do that. What appeases the situation are you to make someone feel just as low as you're feeling at that moment? It's not helpful. It doesn't soothe anything. So yeah, it's a major thing to work on. So if it's hard for you, then that's when you study to be quiet, keep your mouth closed, shut up, learn how to suck it, swallow it, and keep it moving.
Because Sherry, she used to like to argue.
Yeah.
And so what I did was I said, okay, well, both of us can't argue. So what I decided to do was I let you argue by yourself. And so when she got sick and tired of arguing by herself, she was like, okay, I need to change something, because I'm tired of feeling like this.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah, it's the truth. It's the truth. And sometimes, when you're going through something and your spouse may be making you upset, or you just are not on that same page, something that I had to learn how to do. Well, there's several things, but one thing that I remember doing is writing a confession of what I wanted him to be for me. So instead of me complaining about, oh, he not doing this and he not doing that, what I had to do is create a confession and say, my husband has eyes for only me. He's deeply in love with me. He shows me romantic gestures. He loves me the way that Christ loves the church. And I begin to speak those things out loud, and they begin to manifest, because sometimes you could be such in a place where you just feel so stuck, like it's never going to get better. And it's just so hard, and you have to remember what the Bible says about you, your spouse, and, what he has ordained, in your relationship. Yeah. That has helped us a lot. So
Miranda made a great point. She said we had to learn how to argue, because there is a way to argue. You can, there's going to always be
some type of conflict.
There's always some type of conflict, some type of disagreement. Because if you're not disagreeing, then either you fake or something ain't right. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to see eye to eye on everything. To me, that's the magic of marriage, to have two different perspectives on something. You know what I'm saying? But you can have a constructive or a destructive. You know what I'm saying? And learning how to argue, which is inevitable, it can be, it needs to be constructive and not destructive, because you want to come out with something. You know what I'm saying? But if it's destructive, it just breaks down, and nothing is nothing there to build back up.
Yeah. You don't want to in the argument, you don't want to damage each other so that you can't come back, you can't recover from it. And you have to, because the best way to make up from an argument,
I'm telling you.
They have evidence. They have evidence that they argued and made up. So
from the backside.
Yeah. So hold on. Let me read Mecca's comment first, and then I'm gonna talk. We're gonna talk about that. Oh, she says is struggling. Oh, she got a question.
Okay. Yeah, she has a question.
So here's a question, guys. So Mecca has a question. She says, is struggling during the dating process always a sign that someone is strong, or a sign that they will be there for hard times? That was a question. And she said she got confused that we always have to go through to gauge a person's temp as it pertains to what they can do or what they can take in life, or trying to see how they will be in the future. She said, I hope that question makes sense. So it should pop up on your screen in a little while.
No,
Yeah, I can see it. No, I think
Okay,
that's
good.
I think that's just our story. I don't think that you have to go through something hard or struggle to say, oh yeah, that person is for me. You have to hear from God, point blank, period. You have to know from God and get confirmation from God that this is the person that you're going to be with. Now, I do think that there's a level of testing that has to happen just to see how you guys manage each other. You know what I'm saying? Now, if everything is so beautiful in the beginning and everything on cloud nine, I do think that there has to be a period of where, okay, let me see what is he like when he gets angry, or what is she like when she gets angry, or how are they going to handle this difficult situation? Because regardless, in marriage, there's going to be highs and lows. And there's going to be times where you're going to go through some difficult times, and then you're going to go through some, very enjoyable times. And I do think it's important to see that side of your spouse to see if y'all can get through that together. Does that make sense? I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, time reveals all things. Time is your friend. It will show you what you want to know. I think that when you first start that relationship, it's beautiful. Like Sarah says, it's beautiful in the beginning. So it's like you're on a high. It's an euphoria. It's like you're on a relationship high. But like all highs, it come down. All highs wear off. And make decisions on a high rather than making decisions when we're sober. And it's just like once I see, like what Sarah saw, like I was throwing my socks on the floor. Like, wait a minute. Like she tells me all the time, you lied to me. Like you lied to me. You was clean. And so time reveals these things, you know what I mean? And obviously each individual want to put their best foot forward. You know what I'm saying? When you're meeting someone for the first time or starting a new relationship, either intimate relationship or a business relationship, a person will always want to put themselves, their best selves, forward. But time is your friend. A lot of times you rush into things because it's good in the beginning, but allow certain things to transpire so that you can see the real self of an individual.
And let me just clarify this is also, I don't think we mentioned this. We were together 3 years before we got married, so we did have a lot of time together. So yes, we knew very early on that we were supposed to be together, but we still took the time to make sure that the right timing was the right timing. I think that had we have moved any sooner or quicker, we could have messed things up, because sometimes we could get a word or get confirmation and we move too quickly, and it may not be that season or the time yet, and so you have to really hear from God. And I think that we have to have a level of wisdom, and even like I like to say, come to Jesus with yourself, because a lot of times we'll get signs and we'll ignore them. You know what I mean? And so, and then we end up in a situation where we was like, well, I married this person and everything else, but there may have been signs where you were supposed to wait. And it's not saying that you're not meant to be together. There may need to be some counseling that takes place, or there may need to be some, just some more conversations or communications or talks about things. I mean, we talked about everything. We talked about gender roles. We talked about how many children we wanted. We talked about finances. We talked about everything. And because we wanted to make sure that when we went into our marriage, that we weren't going in and then all of a sudden, oh, surprise, I have all these secrets that I didn't even know about. And so I think that that's important as well.
I think moving too fast is what, and we know, we people, I believe God. I knew I heard God. That's my husband or that's my wife. And we move too fast and we take God's yes. And it turns into a disaster because of how fast we move. Like Sarah says, like maybe counseling needed to transpire. Maybe you need to know a little bit more about this individual, or maybe I need to grow in an area. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's just not now. It's just, okay, you heading in the right direction, you know, and you got individuals who just don't want to be lonely, don't want to be alone, and thinking like, oh, we can work through some things, and those times get hard, you know what I mean? Those times when you're digging up old things and skeletons and baggage, it's just like, wait a minute, I didn't know it was going to be like this, and then we made a decision. Now we moved in with each other, or now we're have a baby and all what have you, and it's just like, whoa, let's take your time. You know what I'm saying? Let God be God. That's my saying. Just let God be God.
Yeah.
However,
I heard you. I heard your voice change. I heard your voice change from. I heard it. You said it's God. They're ready to go in. But you guys made a great point, because usually in the especially to tell you they don't really believe in dating. You know, that's the man that God said you're supposed to have. Go marry. Okay, but you, like you said, Tom, you gotta think, you can't rush into, because marriage is not like dating. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can date whoever you want to date, and you can break up with them. You get married, you're telling God that you also look for better or for worse, for richer or poor, for the rest of my life. This is what I'm trying to commit to. And like I said, sometimes in the church they don't, like I said, they don't believe in dating. So you go and you get yourself in a bunch of mess, and then when you get into marriage, you got to try to work out all of this stuff. If you had just taken your time, you could have worked out some of that stuff, or seen some flags in certain areas. And who knows? Maybe that prophet got it wrong. You know what I'm saying? That particular time, maybe they ate some greasy food and they just told you the wrong person you're supposed to be with. You know what I'm saying? But if you take your time, and I'm not, see, y'all said 3 years. For me and Sherry, it was 6. So that was more so because of financial. You know what I'm saying? I want to make sure I was in a good financial position so I could help take care of us or whatever. But I totally agree. You have to take your time as it pertains to marriage, because a lot of times God will show you so much stuff about you, about that person, about the decision that you guys need to make, and help the way to go through things. And I believe that you're right. Time, you have got to wait. It's no rush. You know what I'm saying? Because if you were to die, you're going to heaven. So who cares about marriage and all that stuff?
Right.
You know?
All right. So dating has taken place. Marriage has taken place. And eventually 2 beautiful babies come out of this. But now ministry. Ministry, not only are y'all evolving and growing as individuals, and y'all have become one, how do your calling, Prophetess Sarah, and now assistant pastor, I mean, how does all this evolve and grow together and mends in with your marriage? Whoever wants to go first.
It was a struggle. Like when we got married, when we moved to Illinois, it came into the ministry we are currently a part of, my mind was like, wow, there's a work. The reason why we came was God said come. You know what I mean? So it's like, I took.
They laughing at how you say it.
He done switched again.
And so, I mean, so it's just like, all right, Lord, you're telling me to do this. And so I had to take it seriously. And I had to take, all right, the vision of the house and everything. And I was like, all right, let's do this. And I'm thinking, because when I met her, she was gun-ho for the Lord. You understand? I'm like, I ain't never met a girl my age that was that in love with God. I never met her. And so it's just like, I'm thinking she's automatically on board. Now, mind you, we newly married. We just got married. I did not use wisdom. When you talk about going too fast, we were just discussing that. I took off. It's like, all right, we doing ministry, we doing this. And I literally neglected her, not thinking that I was, but it was just like, let's do kingdom work. Let's just do what we got to do. And it was a struggle in the beginning. it was such a struggle because she wasn't getting what she needed emotionally as from me as her husband. And so in the beginning of ministry, it was a struggle. It was not, I didn't do what I was supposed to do.
Yeah, I think that, whenever you're bringing two people together, he had one vision of what marriage and ministry was going to be. I had another. I tell my friends that Disney lied to me as a little girl, because you think that once you get married, you're going to have this fairy tale happily ever after. And that's just not necessarily the case. And I think that I was just so excited about being married, and he was so excited about ministry, that we really just didn't know how to balance that, And so I think it's so important to know how to balance it, because I had to learn how, I went from being with him all the time, and all of a sudden now I got to share him. And now, other people are pulling on him, and, now he's having other conversations, when those conversations, it was just us, and I had to adjust, and there was even a period of time where you go through these periods where you're like, is this really what I'm called to do? Like, Lord, are you sure this is really what you want me to do? And we had to just walk through that process, and I think now where we are, like, we understand how important it is to make sure that we have that balance, so when it's ministry time, but we always have to make sure that we set aside time, one for just each other, and then also now for our children, you know what I mean? And it's a balancing act. And I think we're still learning, because sometimes you can put so much energy in you at church every single night, or you're just doing things all the time. And then you look up and you're like, man, we haven't gone on just a date together in, over 6 months, or, over a year. And it's just all this time has passed. And I think it's really important to just also have those times of connecting with one another, and having those down times of just being able to relax and rejuvenate, and, just have that intimacy with one another as well, and it's just really important.
Absolutely. Understanding that the ministry, my first ministry is my house, my wife, and my children. And obviously in the beginning we married in April will be 15 years. So it was just like at the beginning, it wasn't, I didn't fulfill that area, but now it's like, wait a minute, now I have to balance it. Now when the light came, you know what I'm saying? One man of God told me, he said, you can't be a kingdom hero and a failure at home. And it was just like, I was just like, wow, like I have to do what must be done to make sure that my house is being taken care of. The ministry aspect of my home is being taken care of more so than the people, because they need me too. Even though people may want to talk, or may need an ear, or may need assistance in some form, my wife want to talk. My son wants to, spend time. So I having to learn that the hard way. You know what I'm saying? My son came up to me one time. He was just like, he saw me on the computer. He was like, Dad, never mind. I said, oh, like, no. Tell me what you want. You know what I mean? Tell me what you need. And that hurt my feelings that he said, you know what? You're busy. You know what I'm saying? I don't ever wanted him to feel that, like, oh, Dad's too busy. Like, he should be, if nobody has full access, it's him. Like if anybody's going to pull me, my family should be the first partakers of the oil that comes out of me. So it's just like, I think that ministry aspect is making sure my house is good, and then making sure, he says, if a man can't be the standard, be the rule in his own house, how can he take care of the house of the Lord? And so I had to check myself with that. I'm doing all of these things in ministry, and my wife is not being taking. She's in a certain place that I need to build and lift, and making sure that she is secure about her giftings, her anointing. She is confident to flow in what God has given her, not only in the spirit realm, but in a connection, an intimate connection with me. Mm-hmm. And that in the beginning was such a big mistake that I made, a big mistake, only because my family, my house was affected. And now, like, learning the balance and knowing, like, all right, I know this is sometimes I have to sacrifice here, but sometimes I'm not willing to sacrifice in that realm because my family needs me.
Right. And just to kind of add on to what he's saying too, I had to come to a point where like I said, I recognize this in him. You know what I mean? And anytime you're in ministry, it's a sacrifice. Regardless, it's a sacrifice. Our life is not our own. We know that. You know what I mean? So yeah, there was times that I may have needed him, but there was also times where, the Lord would say, leave him alone, or there's times where he would need to go and just meditate and pray, and so it was very important for me as well to know when, okay, now is not the time, or giving him the time he needs, or the time where we want to even just be intimate with the Lord. We respect that time with one another, and I think sometimes even in ministry, there's a form of breakdown because you could feel like, oh, my spouse is doing all of this and that and neglecting me, but I feel like, if you're in a place where you're in the word as well, you get excited when you see your spouse excelling in ministry and things like that. You get excited when, something that we like to do with each other, especially when we're going to make a really difficult decision, is we'll both say, okay, you go talk to God and I'm gonna go talk to God, and we'll see who gets the word first. And we want to be in tune, even as a couple, to make sure that we're hearing the same thing, And so there's been some significant times in our life where we've done that, and the Lord has spoke to us very specifically on things. That's just something that we do, and so we take those times and those opportunities as well, to spend time in prayer and praying for one another. I mean, every morning we got oil dripping down our heads, because he's the first one to leave in the morning. So he's anointing the whole household. And I mean, there's just things that we do, and it's just amazing how God can reconcile and heal and mend and bring understanding, especially in a place where, it may be tough, and we're just, I mean, where we are now, like he said, we're just so grateful and so happy. So
even when she was talking about the going separately and pray, so even to move, like we like, all right, Lord, where are we gonna live? It's like, we know we need to go where exactly. So I had some ideas. Like, I'm not from Illinois, so I'm like, oh, Geneva seems nice, or oh, this city seems nice, and Sarah was like, oh, I'm not going there. And I'm like, what's wrong with that? You know what I mean? And so we got to the point. You know what? You go pray. I'm gonna go pray, and then so she hits me up. Did you pray yet? Did you start praying? I'm like, no, I didn't. I wasn't talking to the Lord about that yet. And then I was like, well, did you pray? Did you get an answer? She said, yes. I said, what the Lord say? And she was like, no, you tell me what the Lord said. I'm like, okay. And then
you ain't fighting off my word. Right. Don't aim for yourself.
And so, so I started praying, and I'm at work, and I call her from work. I was like, hey, Yorkville, that's the city we currently live in. And she was just like, what? I was like, the Lord said Yorkville. And I ain't never heard of Yorkville. Yeah. I didn't know anything about Yorkville. And I hung up the phone. And then when we met up, I was just like, so what did God say? She was like, Yorkville. Yeah. And I was just like, that's it. Let's go.
Yeah. That's powerful because, okay, I want to hit a point before I say what I need to say. Going back to Dayton just said, y'all had the test of learning how to balance ministry after marriage, per se. Whereas I had to learn that before we got married. I think everybody has their own little different tests before and after. And so I was new to ministry. I was new to church. And so Bishop at the time, Bishop Pamela D. Herndon at the time, Spence at the time or whatever, she had pulled me in within 3 months of me being at the church. And it's my very first church. It's my very first time. And so become an armor bearer. And I fell in love with serving. I fell in love with ministry. And TJ was like, and we're dating. We're not married. We're dating. And he was like, it's either me or the ministry. Like, that's pretty much, he like gave me an ultimatum. Like, we not going to do this. Because I was going on every trip. Everywhere she went, I was going. Church was having, if they were having a service, I was going to be there. Front row center. It was like, I'll see you when I see you. I'll talk to you when I talk to you. And so we had that come to Jesus moment early on.
See, that was only because, like you said, I grew up in church. So
and I did.
Growing up in church, like I saw the whole church politics. I saw how, because people want to be in church all the time, how the kids flunked out of school, how it tore marriages, how it tore relationships. And my thing was, yeah, if you want to armor bear, that's good. You know what I'm saying? But as you were saying that, and even though we weren't married then, God had already told me that was my wife. So I was working towards that. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
Some things had to be established early, but it's like,
and I had no clue.
Yeah, it's like there has to be some balance. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Go after God. Yes, we're going after Him, but you can't go after God 7 days a week. and I mean, be on the road. When do I have some time?
I ended up losing my job because I was going so much.
Yeah,
I was like, y'all was granting a vacation. I'm going.
Yeah, so I knew, like, I could see the signs spiritually. I could see the signs that it was heading down the wrong road. Even though I know because she was new, so she had that zeal. I never had this before, so I wanted. I'm like, I've been seeing this for 20-some years, so I know your path. You're going a good path, but you're making some wrong turns, and you're going to get hurt. Which that is what it is. But still, like I knew that there had to have been some type of balance.
Yeah, and that's what I was trying to get at. It took a minute because it hurt at first because I was a novice. I was to say anything, I was ignorant, which means lack of knowledge. I did not know. And so it hurt when he had this conversation with me, it hurt my feelings. It tore my little world up. And I was like, but God called me to do this. And I'm, and we're not even married. But
she didn't know I had the Yorkville experience.
But to say all that, within time, and all the key points y'all have made tonight, within time of getting to know who I am and who he is, it goes along with our motto of Thursday Love, loving me, loving you, loving us, because I have to learn how to love me first before I can learn how to love you. And then we have to learn how to love us, because that's a whole different component. And so, with time and us evolving and growing and being in ministry, I see it now. I see where the balance is so necessary. And honestly, I'm just like, you know what? You want to go ahead. I push it. I support you because I do. I love to see TJ in his vein. I love to see when he's all confident, he's excited, he's behind that organ. I even love to hear him sing, even though he don't do it that much. But I love to see it.
She just don't hear.
Yeah. So, so I'm saying all that. I totally get what you're saying, because balance is so necessary, but it comes along with time. It comes along with wisdom. It comes along with taking time to listen to God, but not only that, listening and paying attention to I want to say your auras, your body languages, just how you're acting and you're receiving each other and how you're acting around each other when things are happening, even in that, not just in your household, but also in church. Or if you just go to the store, the simple pieces of conversations, because when you find yourself not on the same accord, you find yourself snapping at each other over the littlest things, and you find yourself frustrated and irritated by certain things that you haven't really been honest with yourself about, and it's spilling over into other things. And so, I'm saying all that to say I totally agree, and it's something it takes time to learn over time. And
so tonight has been real good, y'all. It has been awesome. But I want to switch real quick. You said something earlier. You said that when you went to church. and you looked and you saw that somebody was in front of you, and evidently, of course, it was Sarah. So the reason why we were laughing is because when I knew Sherry or whatever in school, we was in high school, we went to different schools or whatever. But to cut through all of that, I met her again at my brother's graduation. It's like 3,000 some people out there, and I had my nephew on my shoulder. My back was turned, and so somebody called my name out. I'm like, "Yo, who is this that's calling my name out for all these folks?" And so it was Sherry, right? So we talked for a bit. But so you guys seen Poetic Justice, right? You seen Janet Jackson, she had the hair on, how she had her hair and the outfit she had on. This chick had on everything except the hat. But when she turned around, right, which was gorgeous, but when she turned around, God spoke and said, "That's your wife." He told me that when she turned to her backside. So the couple we had last week, he said the same thing. He walked in the church and he saw his wife. He said he walked in the church looking for God.
Yeah,
but he said, look for God. But God showed him the back of his wife. He had Jesus at the back. And then you said, you was like, we asked you how you met. And I told Sherry, I was like, yeah, he saw from the back. He saw from the back. And he was like, man, I looked and right in front of me. I was like, bam, I told you. She was, It's something about that back. It's something about that back posture that is just saying, God is like that. So for all of y'all who up there looking for your wife, find her from the back. It ain't in the front. The woman touched Jesus' hem, she touched it from the back. It's something like that. All right, that's some scripture for y'all. There we go.
TJations.
TJations, whatever. TJations.
Oh, goodness.
Okay, so we normally stay up here for about an hour, and our time has run over. But if you had any advice that you want to give to someone who is dating or engaged, or someone desiring to be married, or somebody that is married, something that you've learned or something that you've experienced, or just some advice that you would like to help as far as ministry or marriage, whatever, please share it. Please share it now.
You go first.
I think what's so important is to be quick to forgive, be quick to say, "I'm sorry," and be quick to listen and be very slow to speak.
Yeah.
I just think that that's so important, because so many times we can be in a position where we want to get the final word, or we want to make our point before we forget it. And sometimes it's just taking those moments to really hear one another. So I would say that, in any relationship, it doesn't even have to be a romantic relationship,
right.
Be quick to just say, "I'm sorry." Like, if something hurts his feelings, I don't have a right to say, "I didn't do that. It hurt his feelings." That's how he feels. It may not have been my intention. So just say, "You know what, babe," or "Love," or whoever you're talking to, I apologize," because you don't want to hurt the person that you love. And Sherry, I heard you even mention how you just love to serve. Serve one another. Take time to outdo each other in love, whether it's slipping a note in, your spouse's shoe, a random place that they would look, just letting them know how much you love them. And for those that are dating, I would just encourage you, just put God first.
Yes.
Surround yourself with a group of people that can be your accountability, people who are looking from the outside in, and have your best interests at heart, not someone that's just going to take your side, or not someone that's just going to take his side, but someone who could really help counsel you through and can be your accountability partner through your relationship, and have those opportunities to just really learn, you know what I mean? See those areas where you may need to grow, or areas where you may need to learn, or whatever it may be. Just allow the Holy Spirit to lead and guide you in those relationships, and for some people it may be that it is time to end it, or it may be that it's not God's will, and if that's where you're at, be confident in knowing that God loves you enough to give you his absolute best, his very best. He's not going to give you anything less than that, so be confident in God to know that the right person is out there for you, and when it's his timing, it's right. And that's what I would say.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll echo everything Sarah said. I would say not to settle for anything less than God's best. And not to say that when I met Sarah, I wasn't where I am now. But she saw in me. So you have to have that relationship with the Father, and the respect aspect of knowing your worth and knowing that God is for you. Your desires is his desires too. He wants to see you happy, and not to rush into a relationship in fear of being alone or feeling lonely. But like you said, Sherry, loving yourself first, because I can't love nobody if I don't know how to love anyone if I don't even love myself, and I can't really love myself if I don't love God. God, it has to be your source and total supply, and not to be thirsty just for a relationship or thirsty just to being involved with someone, but be thirsty for him after righteousness. And when we seek him, he's going to lead us and guide us and direct us to the place where we'll find our spouse, or we'll find that person that God has specifically ordained for you. I just didn't know she was going to be in front of me, but she was there. Be very specific. Be very specific for what you truly desire. Like you said, Sherry, being true to yourself. You got to be very specific. I had literally written down exactly what I wanted in a wife, in a woman. And Sarah knocked off every last check mark, and God gave me some Oprah stuff. You know what I'm saying? So it was just like, it was God will honor what you desire. He'll give us our heart's desires. So I would say, like Sarah says, plug into God, especially if you're a woman. Like when a man finds you, not when you find him. You know what I'm saying? I found her, and she was in God. She was working for God. She was a praying woman. So I mean, like, wow, that's those. Okay, these are qualities that I'm checking off. And so, and for the man, I'm no good to her without a vision. You know what I'm saying? Her job is to help me, to be my help me. I support and help her in every thing that she, endeavors to do. But it's like the whole point of God sending me help is that I got something to do, and for him. And so when we get in our places with God, then God will line it all up. God will line it all the way up.
Yeah. And I think it's important too. I'll just tag on this, be free to not compare your relationship to anybody else's. I think so many times we may feel like, oh, it has to be done this way because that happened to sister so-and-so. And that's just not true. Be free to know that your relationship is your relationship. It's not going to look like everyone else's. There's no nation. Not everybody has our story of waiting, and that's okay. You know what I'm saying? I just want to make sure that we're clear with that. Not everybody has this story. This is just our story. Your story may come with, from a different place, you know what I mean? And whatever that may be, and so just allow your story to be your story and celebrate that, celebrate those intimate moments or those special moments or those quirky things that you do with one another. Celebrate that, and allow that to be, just part of your testimony. So, right.
Absolutely. Me and Sherry gonna wait till the rain good. She's sent me a clip. We're gonna wait till the rain real good. We'll get us an ironing board and go out there in the water. That's what we gonna do. Man, let me tell y'all, this March Madness has been great. And tonight you guys brought a whole different aspect to, especially the version thing. The version thing, man, like that is awesome because, like I said, you don't even, I honestly don't know. I honestly do not know a couple And you guys said y'all dated for 3 years. So y'all was high and dry for 3 years. Like, I don't know a couple that were virgins when they got married. Now, I do know some virgins, but I don't know no virgins that were, but I'm saying, well, I don't know about, I don't know. But I said, I don't know. She may, but I don't know. In my parameters, I don't know that were virgins. And like I said, you guys did it God's way, man, which is, like I said earlier, Seth. That's why I believe, God has blessed you guys because you did it God's way. And for those who are watching, there's only one way to do it, and that's God's way.
Right.
And if you do it God's way, man, God will honor it. He will bless. He will anoint whatever obstacle that comes up. He will favor. And I think that's been a lot of our mistakes is we want to do it our way. And doing things our way, we're going to always screw up. But if we allow God to be who he wants to be in our lives, and we allow God to do it his way, we know that way is perfect. And you guys, I commend y'all, honestly. I commend y'all knowing y'all then and seeing y'all develop now. I commend y'all. I'm still going to hit you up, Seth, about something. So I'm going to let you tomorrow because it's late. So I will let you go and spend some time with your wife, but I will definitely contact you.
Thank you guys for sharing your story with us. So many people are chiming in and talking about how much they love y'all love story.
Awesome.
I love you guys too.
It's the God story.
Amen.
I was waiting for you to say that. I remember Sarah doing this like her hands was cold. And do I still do that? No, I think I've grown past that part. I can control it a little bit more.
Oh yeah. This is a new anointing.
Yeah, it is. And I don't say that by cliche because honestly, honest and for true. Like we just shared a little bit, but there's so many other things that God has done for us that we know that if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be here. Man. I mean, I'm just saying it really is to God be the glory because we can't take credit because there was a period that was very difficult, as he mentioned, and it's to God be the glory that we are sitting here in love.
In love.
Right.
Not just sitting there. Good point.
We did a single segment all last month. And one of the singles made a statement, said, I would really love if a singles ministry was led by a married couple. Mm-hmm. And that was my first time ever hearing that. And the reason why they was like, because married couples have so much to pour into us. And I think that's the thing. Sometimes we get married and we do get consumed in our own lives and our own ministry that we forget to, pass it forward, should I say? Because there's so many couples or people, not just couples, but people individually could just learn and grow from what your testimony is. I think that's the thing. A lot of people look at marriage now because of society. They look at marriage as just it's whatever. I can get married one day, I can divorce the next. It's whatever. We can do it whatever how we want to do. Nobody looks at staying as a virgin anymore because we have commercials that have sex on the roof of a car, but just sell a car. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, a Burger King commercial.
A Burger King with
sex. What sex got to do with a burger?
Right. So you know what I'm saying? Society is saying all this, and I think what Apostle always says: if the wrong voice hits the stage, if the right voice is silent. If the right voice is silent, the wrong voice hits the stage. And I think that's the thing. We should speak up more often to share what we have or to share what we've been through. And I wish it was tonight. I wish we could share on this platform all that we've been through. But our testimony is for for appointed time and an appointed season, and to help others. So I would encourage you to share your story, to share so other people can hear what you've been through, because there are people who still believe in marriage. And there are people who still desire to be married. They just probably don't have nobody to look up to, or they never heard the stories.
And that's why your story is so important to me, because people who desire it, but you guys did it the right way. So you guys are living proof 15 years in to say that, hey, you can do it the Bible way and your marriage can still be successful. You don't have to listen to what society says and taste the fruit before it's right. You know what I'm saying? Right. You guys waited until it was right to say, okay, now it's time to eat the fruit, which is that's why it's so honorable and so powerful to me. And you guys, you have done something that I have not done, and so that's why I commend you for that. You know,
Praise
They asking for part 2. They asking for
and
part 2.
for those who are asking for part 2, I love it because we had with the couple last week we had was they asked for part 2. That means that you guys said something that's worth hearing.
Yeah.
Praise
That's
God.
what that means.
Yeah.
Amen. Amen.
He said God this time, so he didn't know his preacher voice. So the preacher has left the building. I got you.
And let me just share this too, because I think sometimes in ministry, when you're looking up to the man and woman of God, there's this idea that everything is just so perfect. And me and James, Pastor James, are very adamant about being honest about the struggles too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yes, we may have done that part right, but there was a lot of other things that we did wrong, you know, and by all means, we'll be happy to share with anyone that wants to hear, you know, because regardless, no matter where you're at, whether you're a pastor, a prophet, apostle, I think that it's so vital, especially in the times that we're in right now, to see the human side of our leaders, because we can put our leaders in a place where only God is supposed to be. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think even it's our job as leaders to also talk about those shortcomings, you know, and being honest with them, even if it's just to help one person from making that same mistake. Right. So obviously we appreciate, you know, all the kind words and what everyone has said. But there's other areas in our life where we really did have to lean on God and trust Him to get us through some things. And so we're not perfect by any means. So
speak for yourself.
None of us are. That is awesome. None of us are perfect, and because in the church, a lot of times we don't like to show people our mistakes. We just want them to see that we're perfect. But it's in our weakness where, you know, His strength is made perfect. You know what I'm saying? So how can we really celebrate the good times if you don't know that we had some bad times? You know what I'm saying? With that song, so I had some good days, I've had some hills to climb. You know what I'm saying? So we all have our obstacles, but you know, through it all, if you work through it and you're communicating and you're doing it God's way, it's going to be a success. Pastor James and Prophetess Sarah Sapp, you guys have been awesome tonight. We love y'all. We ain't taught y'all in about 50 years. We still love y'all. And tonight has been awesome. I love your story. And from the comments, we're not the only ones that enjoyed your story.
Right.
Amen.
Hey, Matthew, that's your brother, right? Matthew, that's your baby brother, right?
Yeah. Hey, bro.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's been years, but it was truly a pleasure. So I thank you guys. And for those that tuned in for Thursday Love, as always, we love your support. We love you chatting with us, interacting with us, giving your comments, feeding us with your questions. It's always needed and appreciated. So once again, y'all have a great night. Next week, we'll have another dynamic couple because it seems like it's going to be a part 2 of this March Madness Marriage and Ministry. People are loving it. So once again, y'all have a great night. Be safe out there. And
I'm still going to hit you up, Pastor.
And y'all have a blessed weekend. Love you guys.
Love y'all.
Yes, love y'all.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank y'all.
Have a good one.
Thursday Love.